This is the Lakin Chronicles Road to Recovery podcast with addiction specialist Dr. Greg Lakin. Real people, real stories, real addiction, and real recovery journeys. The road to recovery starts now.
And here he is, Dr. Gregory Lakin.
Oh, thank you, Phil. Hey, this is exciting because we have our first update from TRENT Misty. It was a little over a month ago. We're a month, right before New Year's.
Yeah.
And we found, I don't know if I want to say, I'll say it.
No.
Behind our treatment center, literally in the dumpster, literally. Getting food and also with a heroin habit.
Yeah.
Right? And absolutely, I appreciated the fact that you just came clean and said, hey, it's time. It's time. Let's start off the New Year's with, a new beginning and give me an update about what's happened. So both came into the treatment center before New Year's, and it's February 1st, and so this is literally a little over a month away, and Trent's on methadone.
Yeah.
What kind of dose are you on?
I'm at 95.
95. Okay.
Just got the dose increase.
Just got a dose increase. Do you think you're where you need to be or
Close. I
Close?
think within 10 milligrams. Yeah.
And help me out. So the heroin you were doing about how much?
Half a gram a day.
Half a gram a day.
At
Okay.
least. And it's the heroin we were getting is a lot better than it's been in years. It's the best stuff that Wichita's seen in.
When you say you're being
years.
most potent, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say this. Yeah, the most potent.
Do you actually really know what it is, though? I mean,
with the tar, you do.
Yeah.
It's not cut with fentanyl or anything like that. With the white, which is even stronger, typically it's cut with fentanyl. You can tell by the physiological reaction.
Right.
It's similar to pharmaceuticals more
Right.
than heroin. I mean,
you just hope it's cut in the right ratio,
in the right
otherwise,
way, and that it's actually cut with fentanyl and not some kitchen product. You never know. I mean, you really never know what you're buying. It's just a bag of a white powdery substance.
Yeah, you don't know if it's
Yeah.
powdered sugar or talc or
Drain
sometimes
cleaner.
they use. Yeah, exactly.
It could be anything. It's just whatever they had around the house if they wanted to make some money.
I had a lady, she had just abscesses in her, they were using a meat tenderizer, cutting it with that, and it just chewed her tissue away.
Just
yeah.
whatever they have, yeah.
They don't care.
They don't care and they don't know.
Yeah.
It's just...
Right. But now what do you feel happening now that you're almost where you need to be with regard to, I mean, behavior-wise, brain-wise, what do you feel?
Oh man, it's night and day. You wake up and you don't have to, your mindset isn't in the gearing up to go to get well. Every day, it's what I have to get out and hustle. I have to get out and hustle just to get well.
Yeah.
And then once you get well, it's back on the hustle because that fix isn't gonna last all day.
And when you say hustle, I mean, tell people.
Panhandle, anything from panhandle to stealing from stores if you have to. I mean, anything. Buying drugs to sell to someone else, buying them for cheaper and selling them for a street price. If you got a hookup, that's what they call it. You got a hookup, and you can get it cheaper. You grab it, and then you get out on the street and you slang it out on the streets. You just sit out and gut it out on the streets. Everybody walking by, hey, what's going on? You looking? Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous kind of drug dealing when you're out on the street corner trying to hustle dope.
Sure. And you said at one time you had a nice house and you had a nice job and you...
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had a normal life. What one would consider a normal life. It's the American dream. And yeah, it's a 9-day difference between what we used to have and what we had gotten to where we come to.
But literally a month ago you were on the street. I mean, literally.
Living under the Murdoch Bridge. Yeah.
Right.
Literally, in the dirt. There's the narrows down there. One side of the river just gets real narrow on one side of the bridge, and then you live underneath the bridge where the river would normally. When it floods, the river does flow right there. Yeah.
Got it.
So literally living on the river bank, in the river bed actually.
Yeah.
The silt and stuff is just.
And how long have you been doing that? I mean, you don't.
Oh.
I mean, it's cold out there now. That's all
we had been out there. Well, we've been out there in that spot since November. But we've been living by that bridge for a year.
Yeah.
We used to live beside it, right beside the bridge in a little lean-to tent. made out of a blue tar.
Because nobody can see it from the street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it.
A lot of people would walk by, and a lot of people thought it was clever, and it was a good spot. And we kept it clean so people didn't complain, but the city came down to run some people off one time, and so they couldn't let us stay, so they ran us off too. But
Yeah.
we were in that one spot for almost a year.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you were there through the winter,
yeah, last winter. Yeah.
last winter. Yeah.
And then we've been there through this winter up until you found us, and
Yeah.
just right after you found us, we had another miracle happen in regards to housing.
Yeah.
So we've got an anonymous benefactor from my mom's church that's taking care of the rent where we're at until I can get working and get on my feet, or up to 6 months, they said.
Wow, perfect.
So it's been a season of miracles. It really has.
Yeah.
We still struggle with like food, eating. There just isn't any kind of outreach. We get to eat once a day, which we're thankful for that. But it's
Is that like at Lord's Diner or something? Yeah. Got
a
it.
lot of people would say, well, you know, you're just not motivated enough. Well, trust me, we get out and we'll walk anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, we have to walk from almost 13th Street down to Central just to get our dinner every day at the Lord's Diner. We'll go anywhere, but there's just not the kind of outreach you need.
Right.
And the food banks aren't centrally located, you know, and then they just can't give you much stuff at the food banks anyways, the food pantries. So,
Well, it's not like you haven't been in the had a steady job and
Yeah.
regular place to live
No.
before.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, but it's getting better, and we're getting there.
Well, that's wonderful.
I can
Yeah,
tell they
it's-
look a lot better.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's night and day.
Yeah.
from
Track
last-
marks wise and stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Things are going good.
Look at that. You heal really well.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
Good skin. Yep.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah.
We're doing good. No tracks.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah.
No tracks.
Well, and Misty, you were telling me that you were shooting your legs and everywhere
Yeah,
else,
my
and,
neck,
and your jugular. Hopefully, hit your jugular. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
neck is healed up so nice. too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you are lucky. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and
well,
so
she was
Misty's your
out.
fiance. Misty, how are things going? You're on what dose?
85.
85. Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go up. So.
Yeah. And what kind of dose were you on?
She was doing
about the same.
She's doing about the same as I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about between us about a gram a day, and then sometimes more. I mean, if we
Yeah.
could hustle up the money, if we had a good day, it might be a gram a piece between us. Just,
Gram a piece. So maybe $100 or 125 a gram, or
yeah,
yeah.
$100 is
Yeah.
what we can get for. So yeah.
I think you're the one that taught me that, and I didn't know this. You know, I learn new stuff all the time. But instant coffee, instant
yeah,
coffee.
yeah.
Yeah.
Make your black tar, lick black tar.
Yeah,
Or,
well, and then to
Yep.
cut it and stretch it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And you can
Instant
tell.
coffee?
You can tell by the
Yeah.
smell. Yeah, they
Yeah.
can cut it
I
with
didn't
instant
catch
coffee.
that.
Oh, you mix your heroin, or they mix it with instant
It's
coffee,
hard
or
with
dilute it
instant
more
coffee.
with instant coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To give
it's
it-
the way
yeah.
to cut it. It's the way to cut it and stretch it. Yeah, and you can tell by the smell. You can't always smell it because the smell of the heroin when you
That's so
smell it
strong.
is so strong. You don't smell the coffee when you got the tar. When you cook it, the hot water releases the
Oh yeah.
the mountain grown aroma
Oh
of,
yeah.
of the coffee. You can
Sure.
smell the coffee when you cook it.
And you
So
get a little
that's
bit of caffeine with your and,
Yeah.
yeah.
You hope
Yeah.
you hope that's all it is. But,
Well,
I mean, it's not unusual to find hair in it and stuff because they'll put it in their hair to smuggle it in.
oh right.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I suppose when you're out there hustling, you know, even for years, you learn all the tricks of the trade, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is certainly good
You've
and
gotta
bad.
You've
yeah.
got to learn how to keep people from ripping you off because I mean, it. People, I guess people look at drug dealing like it's not a job. It's not a legitimate legal job, but it's work.
It is.
But
A lot of
people would surely rather rip you off than they'd rather just hustle you out of your money than actually sell you a product. I mean, there's a lot of people like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Uh,
And nobody's going to report it.
No,
You
yeah,
know,
we-
I mean,
yeah.
you can do whatever you want. You get taken
Yeah.
advantage of, robbed.
robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Got it.
got to be careful out there.
And it makes you do things you would normally never do.
Never
Yeah.
do.
You have
Yeah.
to do it though. And the
So-
fear of going through withdrawals is, how would you describe it?
It's more paralyzing than even the fear of going to jail for a crime. Like someone like me, I normally wouldn't commit any crimes. I don't want to go to jail. I'm too old for that. I'm just too tired of giving up my life for something that I don't want to. But the fear of going through withdrawal is more potent than even going to jail.
Yeah.
If I had to, you know.
Yeah.
We were lucky we didn't have to steal a lot. We could, I had enough connects between panhandling for some money if we had to, you know, to get startup money or whatever. I could usually get out and hustle up enough money to get us through. We didn't have to steal.
I know. I often tell people
it's not that we haven't.
you have so much, so resourceful that if it could just be put towards something, you know,
Oh, man.
more productive or less self-destructive, you will succeed. There's no doubt. Yeah.
Addicts are
Yeah.
the most resourceful, and sometimes not overly intelligent, but I mean, a lot of times they're very intelligent people.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
they get there's just a stigma about addiction that makes people think that you know that we're not, but
Right. And people want to think that it couldn't happen to them. People want to think that, you know,
That's their problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm too smart for that or whatever. And
If
yet,
they only
day
knew
after
how
day
easy-
after day, we see
Yeah.
nurses and healthcare workers and attorneys and high-level professionals, and they're here as well. So,
they say they fall in the same hole that we did.
yeah.
It doesn't matter what your bank account looks like or what your address is. You can still end up in the same hole that we're in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if they don't take heed early enough, they'll end up at the same place we are. I mean,
Yeah.
rock bottom. Everyone's rock bottom is different, but when you hit actual rock bottom, you're going to end up in the same spot we were in,
Yeah.
living under a bridge,
Yeah.
eating out of dumpsters.
Nope.
Yeah.
I remember finding you there, and you were crouched in the corner, and I mean, just trying to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean, you came clean. You obviously, it was finally time, and
I was
maybe
so tired.
Yeah, so tired of it. Yeah.
I was so tired that I didn't know where to go, but there wasn't anywhere to go. But I was just the energy I had was not. I wasn't going to use it to try to argue with you about it because it's just.
Oh, I know. At first you had an excuse, and then it was time. It was time.
Yeah.
So Misty, and he obviously, you've made a difference because you helped motivate. You're engaged, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, Trent said, "Hey, I'm going to do this not just for me now, but for you as well. You have to do this together," and you are. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. How are you? How are you feeling now, Misty?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Oh, yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah. And what do you notice different in your day? I don't know, you know, where you came from. I mean, when did addiction first happen to you?
I was molested when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
didn't say that last time, but
Yeah.
my life was hard. And I lost my mom in October due to cancer,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
so my life was kind of hard growing up. But
She was exposed to it at a young age. So
Sure.
addiction and alcoholism and drugs have just always been kind of a constant
Yeah.
in her life.
Not-
Because of peripherally with other people, family members.
Oh, and that's how they dealt with.
That's how they dealt with abusive relationships and stuff. And
Right.
so that, you know, she,
Mom taught me, like, if you're having a bad day or something like that, turn to drugs, get high, you know.
Yeah.
basically, yeah. Through example and then through advice, you know.
And whatever's available.
Yeah.
And now, is there like a mood disorder as well? I
I'm
then you-
bipolar,
Bipolar, right? And
Yeah.
that's
depression, anxiety,
Mhm.
PTSD, and all kinds of other stuff.
absolutely parents, mom. I don't know. Mood disorders in the family, or
Yeah,
yeah.
And her
Yeah.
mom, her mom, I'm sure her mom had abuse issues as well.
Yeah.
As a child and then as an adult, she was in a lot of abusive relationships.
yeah,
And yeah, like I said, it was more of a don't ask, don't tell, just turn to substances to
Numb the
self-medicate
pain or whatever.
Self-medicate, yeah.
Do you have a lot of people in your family that are struggling with this type of addiction, or no?
And
In either one of yours family?
well, my mom she's a teetotaler. It's absolutely nothing because I come from a family of alcoholics, and my mom just went the other way. But my brother and I both struggle with addiction issues. Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
My
So
mom-
we've got the gene.
I didn't really know my dad too well. My mom, yeah, and then our cousins and stuff like that. My grandma and them, no, they never. They're not alcoholics or addicts or anything like that. So, but my mom's dad was an alcoholic, and it ran through it thick through the family.
Yeah.
And
It's
so this could be
same
an
way.
example for
Oh, yeah.
cousins and, to bring them in, get them well.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
not unusual to see relatives, and it may be you know, hey, my uncle was alcoholic, my granddad, you know, he was bipolar, my mom took Xanax and Valium to deal with her day, you know, my dad smokes marijuana, but everybody's dealing with this.
No, my grandma
fight
does
or flight.
Xanaxes. She takes Xanaxes for
Sure.
her anxiety.
Sure. But I mean, when you're bipolar, it's easy to spin off the tracks, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You go manic, you go
Wow.
impulsive, yeah. And some people like the manic, but then it's
It's the change.
Yeah.
I've seen her in tears for no reason. She couldn't tell you why she was crying. She
Right.
would just be in tears crying, you know. And it's hard. It's hard for her not being able to regulate her own mood. She feels helpless, and she gets so. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see it when she's looking at you, and it's like she doesn't even know why she's crying. She just can't help but cry, you know.
yeah.
Can't you know, regulate her own moods, and it's like it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
To not be able to help her either. You know, I mean, I help as best I can. You know, I'll hold her but it's like to not be able to just reach in and fix it. You know, it's hard to have to suffer through that with someone.
And certainly step one is developing the awareness, you know, that, hey, I have a mood disorder. This is what I'll do if I don't treat it. And it's really difficult to treat an addiction without treating the mood disorder. So
Oh yeah.
I think people all realize that now, that you have to treat the co-occurring condition. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Well, good. And so you're on a medication now,
Yeah.
and you feel like your mood's more stable.
She's
No
been-
highs, no lows as much.
She's been doing a lot.
Yeah.
better.
Better.
A lot better.
Better. Yeah.
And then of course that coupled with being on, not having to worry about cravings, withdrawals, all that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's been so much better.
Yeah. a
Our
lot.
days are hours.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, this last month, we've been focused on getting rest. To be able to sleep indoors in a bed.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Well,
And, I mean, 'cause,
Yeah.
you know, you go, when you're sleeping outside, you don't do a lot of sleeping. I mean,
Yeah.
for one, I mean, I literally was in a constant state of awakeness, because someone could walk up over you with a brick and you smash your head, you know?
Right.
I mean, just to take whatever meager belongings you have. So I was always kind of, you know, and it might sound kind of sexist or something, but I mean, part of my job out here on the streets is looking after her, you know.
Right.
So I've always got to be on guard, and it's like to be able to let your guard down just a little bit and relax, truly relax, has been. We don't know how to thank you. I mean, you have literally changed our lives.
Oh, this is your journey.
Changed
You've
our
done
lives.
this. You know, you got to be motivated yourself, and you've done it. So, I'm very proud, and I appreciate you guys sharing, because you are telling people that no matter how bad it gets, you can do it. You know,
Yeah.
there's always a way.
and the path, yeah. So, and you were in the hospital a time or two, or no? Am I thinking?
No.
No, you guys didn't have to do. Did you guys ever overdose and have to go to the ER or have to go to the hospital or anything?
No, we haven't been. The overdose part, we've been there. We've been on the cusp of overdoses, but
Yeah.
we were able to keep each other out of the hospital for
Right.
fear of the legal repercussions.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the cops come with the ambulance when you have an overdose call.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So a lot of people that need help or potentially overdose or do overdose.
Don't
Yeah.
get the help because people don't want to call the cops. I mean, there's people in my past that have died that have been left somewhere when people knew they were dying because they weren't going to call the ambulance and have the cops there.
Right.
You know?
And part of this was trap houses or whatever.
Yeah, in the traps, yeah. You know, they say if someone falls out of the dope house or at the trap, what's the first thing you do? Check their pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the stigma, you know. Like, is someone going to call an ambulance? Well, maybe. I doubt it. If everyone clears out, someone might call an ambulance and everybody leaves, you know.
Right, or they get dropped off at
Or they get dropped off at an ER and literally open the door, roll them out.
Right.
A good
Or
friend of
just
mine.
take them
good
outside
friend
and
of
put them
mine-
out on the street somewhere.
Yeah,
Right.
a good friend of mine died. It's been about 15 years ago. He had gone out to party with this girl, and he was into pharmaceuticals, but had never really messed with heroin. This girl, she was a prostitute, and she liked heroin, so he had a lot of money. He was a tattoo artist, so she took him out partying one night, and got him to do some heroin. He did too much, and And literally at like 3:23 a.m., she rolled up to the ER at Wesley, rolled him out the passenger side, and burned out in his car.
Yep.
And he died. He ended up dying. She got into the hospital, but he was already dead by the time they got there. And there wasn't anything they could do. But yeah, it ended up being a pretty big thing. She finally turned herself in, and like a week later, she found out that the cops were looking for her. And you know, someone just wanted an accounting of what had happened. You know, she was afraid they were going to blame her. Well, I mean, it was obviously an overdose. It wasn't. Nobody did it to him. Somebody could have helped him, and somebody could have not taken him out on that end. But in the end, it was his choice to do the drugs to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
But
And he thought his tolerance was high. He thought he could handle it. He probably took the same amount she did. You don't know. And
yeah, but for fear of repercussions, yeah, she didn't get him the medical help that might have saved his life. You never know. I mean, you never know.
Right.
And it's not blaming her. It's just you can just see how that fear lets people die when they wouldn't necessarily have to.
yeah. And I find it fascinating. Tell me one more time how the trap house works.
The trap is just usually it's like a dope house, or it's like a drug dealer's place. A lot of times traps, you'll have several dealers there that deal with different substances, or they all deal the same thing. And it's just you come in, you can buy your dope, do your dope there, as long as you understand it's it's a no holds barred gladiator arena.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Basically, I mean.
No, that's an interesting way to. Yeah.
You know, you can do what you do there, but as long as you understand everyone else is doing what they do, so
Yeah. And if you don't have the money to pay him at the time.
Oh well, it depends if you've got. Usually you won't get drugs without cash, but if you ever did and you didn't have the money, you might not get out of there. But you might be able to get a front on credit, or it just depends on what you got. I mean, you can trade.
Trade a stereo, trade whatever you need to trade.
You can trade a stolen car. You can trade anything you got.
Yeah.
There's a market for just about everything out there, including people. I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Methamphetamines in this room, opioids in this room, heroin, whatever.
Sometimes it's all in the same room. Sometimes, like I said, you can walk into
It'd be a
they
room
trap
like
out a lot of
this.
these motel rooms out here,
Yeah.
and you walk in, there might be 3 people in there dealing, and all of them have crack, heroin, and ice in their pocket. It's just, if you walk in, who do you know?
Yeah.
If I know this guy, but not these 2 guys, well, he's going to get that sale because he knows me,
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And then, if they've got some rooms trapped out and down there, then they'll put a worker out on the street. That's why you see people loitering out in front of these motels. They're short stops. Someone walking down the street, hey, you looking? Oh, come on, I got you. I'm going over. No, you ain't got to go that far. Come on, I got you. Take them to your boy, That guy gets a percentage. Usually it's an addict working the street.
Oh, yeah.
You get a percentage, short stopping people out there.
And you see it all up and down.
Oh, yeah, all
yeah.
down Broadway.
All, yep.
And it's kind of weird. People don't know that the crack and the heroin is actually more prevalent up here than the ice. Now, ice is really bad up here on North Broadway, but they sell more of the other. You hit Kellogg, it's
Right.
like the demarcation line. From Kellogg south, it's amphetamines, and it's bad.
Yeah.
And there's twice as many motels from Kellogg to 47th Street as there is north of Kellogg.
Yeah.
And they're all just, they're all
Seems like
trapped.
there's more prostitution down on South Broadway as well. Maybe.
A lot,
Yeah.
a lot. It's different. It's done differently than it is up here on North Broadway.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's done. There's a lot more. There's just a lot more people down there. The motels, so there's more people down there. But there's a heck of a lot of people up here, just not as many living in the motels. But like I said, the methamphetamine is just, I don't know. It's bad news. It's all bad news. But
And once again, they talk about autopsies and wormholing in the brain and just. But it seems like women, especially, it keeps them skinny. It keeps them pretty for a while, right? And, yeah.
And like I said, there's a lot of that's part of it is the availability of amphetamines. There's a lot of it. I mean, it's gotten really cheap, and it's really strong. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, we have more prevalence of methamphetamines than even opiates in Kansas, only because of anhydrous and
Yeah.
Well, didn't they do a big crackdown in Mexico? Wouldn't that didn't affect it?
Oh,
Didn't they, because it's, isn't it ephedrine that makes it?
Not the new amphetamines. They call it clear or ice. It's a really simple. It's a really simple cocktail, about 3 different chemicals or 3 different substances, and it's grown more than mixed. It's not like bathtub meth. This stuff grows like a salt crystal or alum crystals. You know, it grows like that, and so it's a time process. But when you're making huge batches, and it's just there's a lot of it. I've literally seen myself a 55-gallon hefty bag full of ice amphetamine. I've seen shards that were this long, that big around.
Wow. Yep. And then how's the anhydrous used? Because
that's when you're making regular meth. It's when you're cooking meth, like bathtub meth, what they would call it, something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to cook meth, and I wouldn't admit to it if I did.
I get it. Yeah.
But it's a mixture of chemicals, and you know, like the lithium from batteries and stuff. When you're making a shake and bake batch of simple meth, or like with anhydrous, it's used to gas out the meth, but I don't know how exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Now, do you find that most people have like a favorite and then a backup?
Yeah.
You know, so your favorite was probably opioids. I don't know.
It's always been opioids.
And then your backup, if
cocaine.
Yeah.
And that's used in lieu of withdrawals.
In lieu of.
Yeah. How about you, Misty?
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I've never been an amphetamine guy.
I used to.
Yeah.
And I've known Misty for a long time, and I could see how a lot of times a lot of people like the manic phases. I had to learn to identify it.
Right.
I didn't know sometimes. I just thought she was, pardon my French, being a bitch.
Right.
Or being, just being grumpy or cranky, or there were times when I accused her of being on speed.
Right.
When she was manic, and I had to learn how to identify manic, her manic phases, and her depressed modes. I had to learn how to identify that she was in one, and me being able to identify it has been able to help her understand when she's manic, because that's the thing. Bipolar people don't always know that they're manic.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times they don't. They're just got a lot of energy. They got energy level. They're doing everything.
Well, and some think that they're doing the work of 3 and it's go, and they feel good in the manic phase, right?
Yeah.
But by the time you start to crash, it's too late for your medicine to work.
Yeah.
Or it's,
Yeah.
And so then for every up there's a down, and maybe your downs aren't as,
sometimes hers aren't as bad, but sometimes they can be.
Yeah, some are more bipolar mania, some are more bipolar depressed.
Yeah.
Very good friends, very high functioning,
Uh-huh.
very, just without stabilizing that mood, it's hard to get off of drugs. It is just hard.
Yeah.
And the drugs, the thing is, like with her manic phases, the amphetamines mimic a manic phase almost to a T. So, it was, back when she used to use amphetamines years and years ago, that's what she was doing, was trying to just stabilize,
Right. And I see a lot of people misdiagnosed, in part because they may get diagnosed with a bipolar, but really they're on drugs, and the mom brings them in, or the spouse brings them in, and mood swings, he has great ups, great downs, he's got to be bipolar. Well, you forgot to tell him that you're on amphetamines. You forgot to tell him that, or sometimes you think the person's on drugs and really they really are.
Have a mood disorder.
They have a mood disorder, they just can't, they don't know enough about it. But once you're aware,
And
it's great that you have somebody to bounce it off of.
There's a stigma. I mean, people don't like to admit, neither for themselves or in the family. People don't want to admit, oh, my son's, a crackhead.
Yeah.
Or, or not just that bad, but, my son's a drug addict, or my husband, or...
Right.
People don't want to admit that.
Or I got ADD, I got ADHD, you're in that stress response state from drug-induced, But you're exactly right.
It's a part of it, and then just like with, when you found me, part of it is you have to be willing to accept and admit, and it's not like anyone wants to flagellate you, you're a drug addict.
Yeah.
That's more for yourself, Once you admit it to someone else, you can accept it internally more.
Right.
It seems like,
Yeah.
And understand that, now that you know and you have admitted it, what are you going to do? Are you going to do your part of the work to get better or not? You know.
Absolutely.
Part of it is just about getting out of that hole. You know, the first rule of holes is when you find yourself in one, quit digging. But the part of being on heroin is just like you can't stop digging. You know, you got to stay well. So you're always constantly digging the hole deeper.
And your tolerance gets higher, and then the need gets greater, and the expenses. It's not a poor man's addiction.
No.
Opioids, is it?
No, it's
People
not.
are spending $300 or $400 a day.
Oh man, and the people that spend the most, you wouldn't believe it, are the poorest looking homeless people.
Yeah.
Spend the most money on drugs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
people say, well, you could spend that on housing, well, or you could spend it on food. Well, I guess theoretically you could. The thing is, if you're not well, you're not going to go out and hustle up any of that money. If you're not well, you don't want to eat because you're throwing up, you know, laying on the side of the riverbank. You don't want to move. You're not going to move. You're just going to sit there and throw up on yourself. And,
You know, you do such a good job of explaining things. You absolutely do, and I'm thankful that you're here to tell us your story. And this is just month one, you know, and so I am thrilled to death to see where you guys, how far you can go, and I know you'll be successful. I know you will.
It's cool to be able to chronicle our journey, but even if just hearing us talk about it or describe it can help or save one person, even if it only helps one person, then you know it's worth it to us no matter what.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. No, I think it'll help many more than one, but I appreciate you guys wanting to help, and it means a lot to us and to people. And you know, there's people out there that think they're at the bottom, and there's people out there that have no hope or don't think they can do it, and you're a testimony, you know, and your journey will be followed. And I appreciate it, Misty, and I appreciate it, Trent.
thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Dr. Lakin is a board-certified family medicine doctor with an emphasis in addiction medicine and over 25 years of experience. For addiction recovery services in the Wichita area, please visit www.centerforchangeKS.com or visit samhsa.gov for a national directory of resources and recovery centers in your area. You can also find these links in the podcast description. Thank you for listening to the Lakin Chronicles Road to Recovery podcast. And remember, you've got this.